Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something that's just essential for so many of us,
Mhm.
really mastering business English for professional communication. Think of this deep dive as like your direct path,
Hmm.
a real shortcut maybe to sounding more fluent, more confident, and just, more natural when you're working in English.
Absolutely. And it matters, right? Whether you're maybe polishing your skills for a new job or working with international teams or, simply wanting to elevate your professional presence. Understanding these nuances of business English is really key. We've dug into the source material you shared to pull out the most practical vocabulary, those essential phrases and the core concepts you really need.
Yeah, our mission right now is pretty clear: to significantly boost your business communication vocabulary, your fluency, and importantly, your overall confidence. We're going to unpack what business English really is, look at how to talk about your role in your company, how to handle meetings confidently, write professional emails, manage phone calls, understand the power of polite language, and then finish up with some really solid tips for practice. Ready?
Let's do it.
So, kicking us off, the material we looked at poses that really basic question: what is business English really? How's it different from just, everyday English?
That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Essentially, business English is the specific kind of English used in professional or work-related situations. And compared to, say, casual conversation, it tends to be, well, more formal, definitely more structured, and crucially more polite. It's functional language, really, designed for the workplace.
Right. And the sources, they highlight all the places you'll bump into this.
Or,
I mean, everything from writing emails and leading meetings
Mhm.
to giving presentations, handling phone calls, navigating negotiations, even just speaking with clients. It pretty much covers the whole spectrum of professional interaction.
Exactly. And right up front, the material gives us some essential building blocks, some core vocabulary that just comes up constantly, like deadline, that non-negotiable time you have to finish something by.
Uh-huh.
Then there's proposal, that's like a formal idea or suggestion, often written down.
Okay.
Schedule, pretty straightforward, your plan for your time or tasks. Client, the customer, or the company you work for or with.
Right.
And colleague just means someone you work alongside in your company.
Yeah, these words are really foundational. And the value in the source material, I thought, wasn't just defining them, but showing them in action.
Hmm.
Hearing examples like, I have a deadline tomorrow, or we're preparing a proposal, it immediately helps you see how you'd use them, makes them practical right away.
Absolutely. Grounds the theory.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. A common scenario you face, probably every day, talking about your job, what you do, where you work. The material offers some really common, useful structures for this.
Yeah, it provides these patterns that you can basically just drop your own information into. Like to say who you work for, you can just say, I work for company type name, I work for a software company.
Right.
Or to state your position, your role, like I'm a marketing specialist. Simple as that.
And it covers talking about how long you've been there, which comes up sometimes.
Hmm.
I've been working here for duration. Maybe I've been working here for 3 years.
Exactly. And describing your core duties, my job involves key responsibilities. For instance, my job involves managing client accounts and developing strategies. These structures, they just give you a quick, clear way to answer that. So what do you do? Question that always comes up.
Right. And the source also gives us vocabulary to add a bit more detail, more color when you're talking about your workplace. Words like department, marketing, sales, HR, that kind of thing.
Or specific job titles and types, manager, supervisor, team leader. Also things like intern or assistant, and whether you're full-time or part-time.
And really relevant today, talking about where you work physically: remote, hybrid, or on-site.
Right. And seeing these used in example sentences like, I'm part of the HR department, or I work hybrid 2 days on site, it really helps you practice talking about your specific world using the right terms. Makes your description just that bit more precise.
Okay, meetings. Definitely cornerstone of business communication. The goal here, and the material really highlights this, is to be clear, polite, and, project confidence.
Yeah, navigating meetings requires pretty specific language. The source breaks it down nicely by function. For starting a meeting, common phrases are like, let's get started, or thank you all for joining. You might also state the purpose clearly. The purpose of today's meeting is...
Then, when it's your turn to, contribute your thoughts, phrases like, in my opinion, or I believe we should, or maybe, from my point of view, give you a clear way in.
And this is crucial for collaboration. Agreeing or disagreeing politely, I agree with you, or that's a good point. Those are straightforward. But the material really emphasizes polite disagreement, doesn't it? Things like, I'm not sure I agree with that. Or the very collaborative, can we consider another option?
Yes, exactly. And what's fascinating there is how these phrases, they allow for different views while keeping the professional tone totally intact. You can challenge an idea without sounding, personally challenging. It's about the language helping productive discussion.
Good point.
The material also points to phrases for just managing the flow, keeping things on track, let's move on to the next point, or I think we need more information before deciding. They're kind of like signposts in the conversation. Okay, so moving beyond face-to-face, or, well, virtual face-to-face now.
Yeah.
So much business happens in writing and over the phone.
Yeah.
The material gives us the essentials for emails and calls, too.
Absolutely. For emails, it covers the standard ways to begin, which kind of depends on your relationship with the person you're writing to. Dear Mr. Smith, for more formal situations. Hello, Sarah, if it's less formal. And then there's that universally applicable but maybe more distant one, to whom it may concern.
Right. And those key phrases within the email body, like a polite opening, I hope this email finds you well, or stating your purpose clearly with, I'm writing to follow up on. And those professional closings, like, please let me know if you have any questions, followed by kind regards or best regards. They just signal the end politely.
Then, shifting to phone calls, the guidance is really about being clear and efficient, identifying yourself right away. Hello, this is James speaking, asking for someone. Can I speak to Mr. Brown, please? Stating your reason directly. I'm calling about, and, ending politely. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. Pretty standard stuff, but important to get right.
And those vital phrases for just making sure you understand everything on a call, especially if the connection's maybe not great or there's a challenging accent involved. Things like, could you repeat that, please? Or even, could you speak a little slower? Those are gold from the source material. Really practical.
Definitely. Saves a lot of confusion.
Okay, now let's talk about the polish, I guess, the layer that really distinguishes professional communication, politeness, and formality. This is where the material highlights some really key differences from just casual English.
Yeah, this is crucial because it really impacts perception, how people see you. The material uses some very clear comparisons to show this. Like, think about asking for something. The casual way might be, send me the files.
Yeah, bit blunt.
Right. It becomes the much more professional and polite, could you please send me the files? That could you please makes a huge difference.
It really does.
Or responding when you don't have the information. Instead of just a blunt, I don't know, a more professional approach is something like, I'm not sure at the moment, but I'll find out, shows proactivity.
Good one.
And requesting something, like a meeting, shifting from, I want a meeting, which sounds demanding, to the more indirect and polite, I'd like to schedule a meeting.
So this brings up an important question, really.
Yeah.
Why do these small changes matter so much? It seems to be about adding, like, softeners, using those modal verbs could, would, may, and just being a bit more indirect.
Exactly. It signals respect for the other person's time and sort of their autonomy. It helps build rapport rather than just issuing demands, right?
It sets a different tone.
Precisely. And the source material really underscores this by listing more polite go-to phrases, things like, could you clarify that, please, if you need something explained better? Or would you mind sending me an update when you're checking on progress? Just incorporating these consistently makes you sound much more considerate and, well, professional.
Okay, so to really see how all these different elements work together in practice, the source includes a short, but I thought quite helpful, role-play conversation.
Yeah, it provides a little snapshot of two colleagues, Lisa and Alex, discussing a project proposal that has a tight deadline. It's a great demonstration of the phrases we've been covering just being used naturally in a conversation flow.
So how does it go?
Well, Lisa kicks it off politely. Hi, Alex. Do you have a moment to discuss the new project? Very standard, polite opening. Alex is agreeable and direct. Sure, Lisa. Let's go over it now. Ready to engage. Lisa then sets the context, including the challenge. We need to prepare the proposal by Friday. And Alex expresses concern using language we saw in the source. That's a tight deadline. Do we have all the information? Say direct but polite. Lisa identifies an action needed. Not yet. I'll follow up with the client today. Taking ownership. Alex suggests the next step. Great. Let's meet again tomorrow to review everything. Planning ahead. And Lisa confirms. Sounds good. Thanks, Alex. Simple, close.
It's short, yeah, but it's packed with useful stuff.
Yeah.
The material specifically points out key takeaways from that exact dialogue. Do you have a moment to discuss as that polite opener? Let's go over it now. For getting straight to business, and that's a tight deadline for addressing challenges clearly but professionally. Seeing them used in that back and forth, it makes them much more memorable, I think, and sort of ready for you to use yourself.
Exactly. Context makes all the difference.
Okay, so we've explored the landscape of business English. We've looked at phrases for different situations, the importance of politeness.
Hmm.
How do you actually get better using all this information? What does the material suggest for, like, real practice?
Good question. The source offers a set of really actionable tips to build both fluency and confidence. It's all about consistent, targeted practice. First, it suggests watching real business interactions, things like meetings or interviews. You can find these easily on platforms like YouTube or LinkedIn. It gives you authentic exposure.
Right, real people using it.
Second, listen to business-focused podcasts. It mentions examples like BBC Business Daily or Harvard Business Review. Just immersing yourself in the sound and rhythm helps.
Okay.
Third, actively practice writing. Draft business emails, maybe even just to yourself, and then take the time to review and correct them, like self-editing. Fourth, role play work conversations. If you can, practice with a friend or maybe a tutor to get comfortable actually speaking spontaneously using these phrases.
Yeah, that active practice is key.
And finally, a very concrete tip. Make a real effort to learn and, crucially, use maybe 3 to 5 new business phrases each week. Consciously try to integrate them into your actual emails or conversations.
Those are great practical steps. And the source also lists some excellent online resources to help you with this. BBC Learning English, they have a specific business English section, Business English Pod, and LinkedIn Learning. Lots of material out there.
Yeah.
It even proposes a specific challenge, which I liked. Recording yourself talking about your job, maybe using some of the new phrases you've picked up from the source. That really forces you to actively produce the language, doesn't it?
It does. Hearing yourself is powerful feedback.
So stepping back from our deep dive into this source material,
Yeah.
what have we really mapped out for you? We've looked at what business English is and where you use it, how to talk confidently about your job. That essential language toolkit for meetings, emails, phone calls, the critical layer of polite and professional phrasing, and finally, those practical strategies for boosting your fluency.
Yeah, and the core insight here, I think, is that by focusing on these specific high-frequency situations and consciously using the phrases and structures we've pulled out from the source, you really can dramatically improve how effectively and how confidently you communicate in the workplace. It's about being prepared, having the right words ready for the right moment.
So what does this all mean for you right now? I think it means recognizing that mastering business English isn't just about, knowing more words. It's about making deliberate choices. Choices that impact clarity, professionalism, and ultimately how you're perceived by colleagues and clients.
Exactly. And the source material, it vividly illustrates how even seemingly small shifts in phrasing, like moving from a casual request to a slightly more formal and polite one, can really change the entire dynamic of an interaction, which raises an important question for you listening. Based on what we've discussed today, how might incorporating just one new polite phrase or maybe a specific piece of vocabulary from this deep dive, how might that change the outcome of the next email you write or the next conversation you have at work?
Yeah, think about that. Maybe pick just one thing. Perhaps it's remembering to say, could you please?
Yeah.
Instead of just commanding or using the word deadline correctly and confidently. Or maybe trying out a meeting phrase like, from my point of view. Just pick one thing and actively try to use it this week. Keep exploring, keep practicing. We've given you the map, really, based on the source material. Now it's definitely your turn to navigate the professional world with, hopefully, a bit more confidence.